Hey everybody, it's emergency video time. As you know, we're just a few days from election, and I was having a conversation with some of my professional academic friends, and they mentioned that, or at least one person mentioned that there is apparently increased propaganda, conservative propaganda to Black religious communities. And I thought, okay, wow, all right. And then it hit me like, uh-oh, Black religious communities, because at least a portion of my family is really very religious, like lots of preachers and deacons and deaconess and usher board and choir directors, like everybody. And for me, I didn't, as far as I knew or know, I do not have people in my close networks who subscribe to conservatism. You know what I'm trying to say? Like that's not my jam. Primarily for my psychological well-being, to be honest. But I thought, okay, well, I need to just reach out to my family and just ask the question, who among the group, and so we have, family groups, who might be more inclined to, the current administration enough to vote for 4 more years. And so I sent out a note of inquiry, and sure enough, I had a relative to back channel me to say that they were undecided. And so my first thought was initial, surprise. But, being who I am, and honestly being a curious person, but also knowing the importance of effective communication, I, just proceeded to ask questions, well, tell me more about that. Tell me more about that platform that appeals to you, and how do you reconcile that, you as a Black person who has a Black family, how do you reconcile that Black people are overrepresented, as an example, of folks who are diagnosed with and dying by COVID, and if we can call that the backdrop, or against the backdrop of this desperate need to repeal Obamacare and take healthcare away from people who otherwise wouldn't have had it. Like, help me make sense of this. And so the family member, and this is important, the family member communicated to me just appreciation for me not, being dismissive or berating them or putting them down, and not yelling. And I appreciated that, but part of it actually kind of made me sad, that, um, and I get it, that those of us who desperately do not want 4 more years, are yelling at folks and are canceling people because of their beliefs. And surely we know that going off on somebody is not going to help, right? That we need to get to a place where we can engage with people in a way that's reasonable and from a perspective of curiosity, right? So we can have our strong feelings, but then be curious about someone else's feelings, because going off on them it's not going to help. Imagine someone was trying to convince you of what you truly believe, like what you believe to be honest and fair, and your fears. So in the same way that we have fears about the next 4 years, other folks have fears about the next 4 years. So maybe we can suspend our judgment and have honest conversation. And I say this from the perspective of knowing what my beliefs are, but also recognizing the importance of the upcoming election. And so I mention this for two reasons. One, I do think it's important for us not to get comfortable. Reach out to folks that have the potential of being more conservative leaning, or not conservative leaning, but I don't think the not conservative leaning folks are watching my video. But reaching out to folks, not assuming that everybody's on the same page. First and foremost, maybe you're not driving someone to the poll because of coronavirus, but you are messaging people just to check in. And then if you do find someone, and you have to do so in a way that is to say, what I mentioned in my group was, well, I'm not sure, if there's anyone out there who has different, political beliefs from me. I don't personally know, but I just thought I would check in and see if there's anyone out there. And I did so in a way that wasn't, putting anyone down. And then this family member felt comfortable reaching out to me. And so we've been having a back and forth still about this undecidedness. But, I feel like that's a part also of my civic duty, is to be able to have a genuine, honest conversation from a place of curiosity in understanding someone else's perspective. So I still don't know how the relative is going to vote. I'm still trying to understand. This relative has expressed interest, like, oh, wow, I hadn't thought about this in that way. I hadn't thought about the economy in the future versus people necessarily dying now, and having very honest receptivity because of the way that I'm able to have the conversation. So I hope that you all are doing everything you can to mobilize not just your vote, but also checking in with other people who may still be undecided, because they are out there waiting for election day. All right, you guys, be great.